Hey there, before we dive in, if you're serious about changing your life, hit that subscribe button and join our community of growth and action. This is where you stop dreaming and start doing. Now, let me tell you something powerful. Success is not a mystery. It's not luck. It's not magic. It's a choice. A choice to do what 99% of people will never do. That choice, that's the 1% rule. And if you follow it, your life will never be the same. The 1% rule is simple. If you want to live a life most people only dream of, you must be willing to do the things most people refuse to do. That's it, that's the secret. Not a fancy degree, not being born into wealth, not some hidden talent, just the daily decision to step into the uncomfortable, the hard, the inconvenient, because that's where growth lives. Here's the truth. Most people want the reward, but they don't want the work. They want the success, but they don't want the sacrifice. They want the dream, but they don't want to pay the price. The 99% will tell you, it's too early, it's too late, it's too hard, it's too risky. They'll spend their lives making excuses. But the 1%, they take the risk. They stay up late, they get up early. They show up even when it's pouring rain. They don't care if they're tired, scared, or uncomfortable. They do it anyway. You have to understand this. Comfort is where dreams go to die. Every great achievement, every big breakthrough, every life-changing moment lives just outside your comfort zone. The 99% will protect their comfort zone like it's treasure. They'll spend their lives avoiding pain, avoiding failure, avoiding embarrassment. But the 1%, they walk straight into it. They know that pain is the price of progress. They know that struggle builds strength. They know that failure is not the end, it's the beginning. Think about it. While most people are sleeping in, the 1% are already moving. While most people are scrolling on their phones, the 1% are building their future. While most people are saying, I'll start tomorrow, the 1% are making moves today. That's why they win. Not because they're better, smarter, or luckier, but because they do the work when no one else will. And here's something you need to remember. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to take massive leaps every day. You just have to be consistent. 1% better every day, that's all. If you improve yourself just 1% every single day, by the end of the year, you'll be 37 times better than you were when you started. Most people don't get this because they want instant results. They want to go from zero to hero overnight. But the 1% know it's the small daily actions that lead to big results. So ask yourself, what are you willing to do that most people won't? Are you willing to wake up before the sun? Are you willing to study while others are partying? Are you willing to train when no one is watching? Are you willing to face failure over and over again without giving up? That's what it takes. That's the 1% rule. Let me tell you something. Discipline beats motivation every single time. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps burning when the spark is gone. The 99% wait to feel like it. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect mood, the perfect plan. But the 1%, they act whether they feel like it or not. They don't wait for the mood, they create the momentum. I'm not going to lie to you. This path is hard. You will be uncomfortable. You will be tired. You will face doubts, setbacks, and failures. But if you stick with it, you will win. Because most people will quit long before they see results. That's why the 1% rule works. Because the majority won't last. Here's a fact. The difference between winning and losing is often just refusing to quit. The 99% will stop when it gets hard. The 1% will keep going, even when it feels impossible. They'll take one more step, make one more call, put in one more rep, and that one extra effort, that's usually where the breakthrough happens. Think of your dream like climbing a mountain. Most people start climbing, but as soon as the air gets thin and the path gets steep, they turn back. They tell themselves they've gone far enough, but the 1%, they keep climbing. They know the view from the top is worth every step, every blister, every drop of sweat. The 1% rule isn't just about business or money. It's about every part of your life. It's about being the parent who shows up, the friend who listens, the partner who puts in the effort. It's about training your body when it's easier to sit on the couch. It's about feeding your mind with knowledge when it's easier to watch mindless TV. It's about making choices today that your future self will thank you for. You have to stop living for other people's approval. The 99% care too much about what others think. They let fear of judgment keep them from taking action. But the 1%, they understand that other people's opinions don't pay their bills, don't build their dreams, and don't define their worth. And here's the most important part. You already have what it takes to be in the 1%. You don't need permission. You don't need to wait. You just need to decide. Decide that you will do what most people won't. Decide that you will keep going no matter what. Decide that you will put in the work every day without fail. The 1% rule is a mindset, a choice, and a commitment. It's waking up every morning knowing that you will do what others avoid. It's embracing the grind. It's loving the process as much as the result. It's refusing to quit even when quitting feels like the easiest option. I want you to imagine two roads in front of you. One is wide, smooth, and crowded. Everyone's walking on it. They're laughing, scrolling through their phones, talking about what they might do one day. It's easy, it's safe, you don't have to think much, and you don't have to sweat much. That's the 99% road. The other road, it's narrow. The ground is uneven, the hills are steep. There's no crowd here. In fact, you might not see anyone for hours. The air is thinner, and your legs will burn after just a few minutes of climbing. This is the 1% road, the one most people avoid, not because it's impossible, but because it's uncomfortable. You see, the 99% choose the easy road because it gives them instant comfort. But comfort is a liar. Comfort whispers in your ear, "Stay here, it's fine, you're safe." But what it doesn't tell you is that it's slowly stealing your potential, your drive, your life. It's like a warm blanket that smothers your ambition. The 1%, they know the truth. They know that the hard road, the uncomfortable road, is where the magic happens. They understand that every hill they climb makes them stronger. Every obstacle they face makes them sharper. Every step they take brings them closer to the life they actually want. Now here's the thing. Doing what 99% won't isn't about one big decision. It's about hundreds of small decisions every single day. It's saying yes to the gym when your bed is calling you. It's saying no to the junk food when it's right in front of you. It's choosing to work on your side hustle instead of watching another episode of your favorite show. Most people underestimate the power of small decisions. They think big changes come from big actions, but the truth, big changes come from tiny actions repeated over time. That's why the 1% rule works. It's not about heroic effort once in a while. It's about relentless effort all the time. Let me give you an example. Picture two people starting a race at the exact same time. One person moves forward 1 step a day. The other person moves forward 2 steps a day. At first, the difference is barely noticeable. But after a year, that second person is miles ahead. Not because they ran faster once, but because they consistently did just a little bit more every single day. This is where most people fail. They don't see instant results, so they quit. They dig for gold, and when they don't find it after a week, they stop digging. They don't realize that the gold was just a few inches deeper. The 1%, they keep digging. They know the gold is there, even if they can't see it yet. And here's the hard truth. To do what 99% won't, you have to think differently. You have to train your mind to see opportunity where others see difficulty. You have to see the value in the grind, the lesson in the loss, the growth in the pain. The 99% avoid pain at all costs. The 1% use it as fuel. They understand that pain is a teacher. It reveals your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. It shows you what you're made of. It strips away the excuses and forces you to face the truth about yourself. You have to stop running from the hard things. Stop wishing for an easier life and start getting stronger. Stop hoping someone will come save you and start saving yourself. Because here's the truth. No one is coming. Not your boss, not your parents, not your friends. It's you. Always you. The 1% rule means owning your results. All of them. No blaming, no excuses. If you fail, it's on you. If you win, it's because you earned it. That's the kind of mindset that separates the average from the exceptional. The 1% rule isn't glamorous. It's not sexy. It's not about showing off on social media or chasing quick wins. It's about doing the boring, unglamorous, repetitive work that nobody claps for. It's about showing up when no one's watching. It's about committing to your craft long after the excitement fades and the motivation runs dry. The 99% live for the applause. They need the likes, the validation, the constant pat on the back to keep going. The 1%, they clap for themselves. They find satisfaction in the process, not just the result. They know that success isn't a single big moment. It's thousands of tiny victories, stacked on top of each other until one day people call it overnight success. You have to train yourself to love the process. That's the secret. You can't just love the idea of being fit. You have to love the sweat. You can't just love the idea of being rich. You have to love the grind of building something from scratch. You can't just love the idea of being respected. You have to love the discipline that earns respect. The 1% wake up earlier than they want to. They read when they'd rather watch TV. They speak up when they're scared. They put their reputation on the line. They invest in themselves when there's no guarantee of a return. They do what's uncomfortable because they know that's where the growth is. The 99% take the path of least resistance. They skip the workout because it's raining. They quit the business because it's not growing fast enough. They settle in their relationship because they're afraid of being alone. They choose comfort today at the cost of regret tomorrow. But here's the ugly truth. Regret will hurt far more than discipline ever will. Discipline stings for a moment. Regret eats at you for a lifetime. You never hear someone at the end of their life say, "I wish I had watched more TV." Or, "I'm so glad I never took that chance." No, they say, "I wish I had tried. I wish I had gone for it. I wish I had given it everything." That's the pain the 1% avoid, the pain of what if. They'd rather face the pain of effort, the pain of risk, the pain of failure, than the pain of never knowing what could have been. Doing what 99% won't means holding yourself to a higher standard, even when no one's around to hold you accountable. It means telling yourself the truth, even when it hurts. It means refusing to settle for good enough when you know you're capable of more. You see, the 1% rule is not about comparing yourself to others. It's about competing with the version of you from yesterday. It's asking, did I give more today than I did yesterday? If the answer is yes, you're on the right track. If the answer is no, you know exactly what needs to change. This is why so few people live this way. It's not easy to look yourself in the mirror and admit that you're not giving your all. It's not easy to cut out the habits, the distractions, the excuses that make life comfortable but keep you stuck. But that's the work. That's the climb. And let me tell you something. When you start living by the 1% rule, you will stand out. Not because you're trying to, but because the world is full of people doing the bare minimum. You will walk into a room, and people will notice the way you carry yourself. They'll see the focus in your eyes, the discipline in your habits, the confidence in your presence. That's the result of doing what 99% won't. If you want to join the 1%, you have to make a decision today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because the more you wait, the more you train yourself to procrastinate. The more you delay, the more you prove to yourself that your dreams can wait. And every day they wait, they die a little. It's not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. The 99% think they have to wait until everything lines up before they start. They tell themselves, I'll start when I have more time, more money, more confidence. But that day never comes, and deep down, they know it. The 1%, they start messy. They start broke. They start scared. They start when it's inconvenient. They start because they understand that action creates clarity, not the other way around. You're not going to feel ready. Read that again. You're not going to wake up one morning magically fearless, disciplined, and laser-focused. Readiness is built through action. Courage is built through action. Confidence is built through action. And the 1% rule is built by choosing action when everyone else is choosing excuses. Doing what 99% won't means pushing past the moment when most people quit. Everyone's motivated in the beginning. The first few days of a new goal are easy. You're excited, energized, and optimistic. But then comes the wall. The wall is when it's not fun anymore. The wall is when progress slows down. The wall is when you start questioning why you even started in the first place. That's the moment that decides everything. The 99% see the wall and turn back. They tell themselves it's too hard, that maybe it wasn't meant to be. The 1%, they climb the wall. They push through the pain, the boredom, the doubt, because they know that on the other side of the wall is everything they've been working for. And here's what most people miss. Every time you push through that wall, you get stronger. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The wall becomes less intimidating the next time. You start to trust yourself. You start to believe that you can handle more than you thought. That's the real prize. But doing what 99% won't also mean saying no to things most people say yes to without thinking. The 1% say no to the distractions that steal their focus. They say no to the people who drain their energy. They say no to the opportunities that don't align with their vision, even if those opportunities look good on the surface. You have to protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. Every yes you give to something that doesn't matter is a no to the thing that does. The 99% scatter their energy everywhere and wonder why nothing changes. The 1% channel their energy into a few things that matter most, and they win big because of it. Here's another truth. The 1% rule is lonely. Not everyone will understand why you're working late when they're out partying. Not everyone will understand why you're up before sunrise while they're still asleep. Not everyone will understand why you're spending money on books, courses, or mentors instead of vacations and new toys. And that's okay. They're not supposed to understand. They're not on your path. You have to be okay with being misunderstood. You have to be okay with people doubting you, criticizing you, even laughing at you. The 99% seek approval. The 1% seek results. And here's the reward. When you commit to doing what 99% won't, you create a life that 99% can't. You'll have options they'll never have, freedom they'll never taste, confidence they'll never know. Not because you're better than them, but because you were willing to pay the price they refused to pay. So let me ask you this. Are you willing to trade short-term comfort for long-term greatness? Are you willing to be uncomfortable today so you can be unstoppable tomorrow? Are you willing to do what 99% won't so you can live like 99% can't? If you want to live by the 1% rule, you need to understand one thing. Success is not built in bursts, it's built in bricks. Every choice you make is a brick. Some people lay a brick once in a while. The 1% lay bricks every single day, without fail. Most people wait until they feel like it to lay a brick. The 1% lay the brick whether they're tired, unmotivated, or even doubting themselves, because they know the wall they're building is worth it. The 99% confuse intensity with consistency. They think going all out for a week will change everything. They sprint for 7 days and burn out by day 8. The 1% understand that a slow, steady pace beats a short burst every time. They know that showing up at 70% every single day is more powerful than showing up at 110% once in a while. This is where patience comes in. Patience is one of the most underrated traits of the 1%. In a world obsessed with instant results, patience feels unnatural. But the 1% are willing to wait for the payoff because they understand that growth takes time. They're not planting seeds today and digging them up tomorrow to see if they've grown. They plant, they water, they nurture, and they trust the process. And here's something you need to hear. The 1% rule is not just about working harder, it's about working smarter. Doing what 99% won't doesn't mean killing yourself with busy work. It means doing the hard, uncomfortable tasks that actually move the needle. It means spending less time looking busy and more time being productive. The 99% spend hours perfecting their to-do lists. The 1% spend hours executing. The 99% get stuck in research mode, convincing themselves they're making progress. The 1% take the first step, even if it's imperfect, and figure things out along the way. The 1% rule also demands resilience, the ability to take a hit and keep moving forward. The 99% take failure personally. They let it define them. The 1% see failure as feedback. They understand that the faster you fail, the faster you learn, and the faster you can get back in the game with better tools, better knowledge, and a better mindset. Think about this. Every person you admire, every person who's achieved greatness, has lived by the 1% rule, even if they never called it that. They've done the work when no one else would. They've faced rejection, ridicule, and resistance. They've gotten back up more times than they can count, and they've refused to stop until the dream in their head became the life in their hands. But here's the part most people overlook. The 1% rule is built in private and revealed in public. People will only see the end result, the transformation, the success, the win. They won't see the nights you stayed up learning a skill while everyone else was out having fun. They won't see the mornings you woke up before dawn to get a head start. They won't see the sacrifices you made, and they won't understand them. You can't do this for applause. You can't do it for validation. You have to do it for you. Because the moment you tie your effort to other people's approval, you've lost control. The 1% know that self-respect comes from keeping promises to themselves. When you say you'll wake up early and you do it, you build trust with yourself. When you say you'll work out and you show up, you build trust with yourself. When you say you'll finish that project and you finish it, you build trust with yourself. And that self-trust is the foundation of confidence. The 99% break promises to themselves all the time and then wonder why they don't believe in themselves. You can't lie to yourself over and over and expect confidence to magically appear. Confidence is earned, and the currency is discipline. Doing what 99% won't means committing to the daily disciplines that no one sees, but everyone notices in the long run. It means building habits so strong they carry you through the days you don't have motivation. It means being so consistent that quitting isn't even an option in your mind. And here's the truth, the 1% rule isn't for everyone. Most people will reject it because it's hard, because it asks for too much, because it demands sacrifices they're not willing to make. And that's okay. The world will always have more spectators than players. But if you're hearing this, and something in you says, "This is me," This is who I want to be. Then understand, your time is now. The 1% rule isn't about luck. It's not about having the perfect circumstances or being born into the perfect situation. It's about making a decision every single day to do what others won't. That's the difference. Not talent, not connections, not timing, choice. Every morning when the alarm goes off, you get the choice. Roll over and hide from the day, or get up and face it head on. The 99% hit snooze. The 1% hit the ground running. Most people think opportunity knocks once or twice in a lifetime. The 1% know that opportunity is knocking every single day, but it doesn't look like opportunity. It looks like hard work, like discomfort, like something you'd rather avoid. That's why 99% miss it. They're waiting for it to come dressed in comfort and convenience. The 1% answer the door, no matter how it shows up. Doing what 99% won't means doing the boring work, the unglamorous work, the work that doesn't get likes or shares or applause. It's studying when your friends are binge watching TV. It's putting in the extra hour on your business after a full shift at your day job. It's saying no to short-term pleasure because you're chasing long-term greatness. You can't expect to get the rewards of the 1% with the habits of the 99%. If your daily actions match the crowd, your results will match the crowd. And here's the truth. The crowd is broke, distracted, and unfulfilled. Why would you want their results? You have to separate yourself. You have to make decisions that most people will never understand. The 99% avoid discomfort like it's the enemy. The 1% run toward it because they know discomfort is the gym where growth happens. Every time you step into a hard situation, you're lifting mental weights. You're building resilience. You're training yourself to handle more tomorrow than you could today. You want to be part of the 1%? You have to outlast people. You have to keep going after they stop. Not for a day, not for a week, for years. The 1% aren't always the fastest or the most talented, but they're almost always the ones still standing when everyone else has quit. And here's the truth no one likes to admit. Most people quit right before the breakthrough. They get tired, they get discouraged, they think the effort isn't worth it, and that's when they give up. But what they don't realize is they were inches from the finish line. The 1% hold on just a little longer, push just a little harder, and that's why they win. Doing what 99% won't means not letting your emotions dictate your actions. The 99% only work when they feel like it. The 1% work whether they feel like it or not. Motivation is nice, but it's unreliable. Discipline is what keeps you going. The 1% don't wait to be inspired. They act first, and the inspiration catches up later. The 1% rule is a contract you sign with yourself. It says, I will not stop when it's inconvenient. I will not stop when it's uncomfortable. I will not stop when no one believes in me. I will keep going because I said I would, and I keep my word. That's what makes it powerful, not the big moments, but the quiet, private decisions to keep showing up. And remember, nobody starts as the 1%. Everybody starts at 0. The only reason the 1% exist is because they made choices that slowly pulled them out of the 99%. Every time they did something hard, instead of easy, they stepped closer to the top. Every time they acted, instead of procrastinated, they separated themselves. Every time they kept going instead of quitting, they built the gap. The 1% rule demands something most people will never give: full responsibility. The 99% look for someone to blame. They point to the economy, their boss, their upbringing, their lack of resources. The 1% own it all. They say, "It might not be my fault, but it's my problem to solve." That's why they move forward, while everyone else stays stuck. When you take full responsibility, you take back your power. As long as you're blaming, you're powerless. You're saying, "I can't change because something outside of me has to change first." But the 1% know that the moment you decide to act, despite the circumstances, is the moment everything begins to shift. The 1% rule also means you do the work no one sees. You're not chasing applause, you're chasing progress. You practice when no one's watching. You rehearse in an empty room. You write, you plan, you prepare, not for likes, but for mastery. And when the spotlight finally hits you, people will call you lucky, never realizing how many unseen hours you put in. Most people live for the weekend. The 1% live for the work. They're not clocking out mentally at 5 p.m. They're not counting down the days until Friday. They're counting up the reps, the lessons, the moves they've made toward their vision. And here's something you need to understand. The 1% rule isn't about beating other people. It's about beating your old self. Every day you should be asking, am I stronger than I was yesterday? Am I sharper, more disciplined, more focused? If the answer is yes, you're winning, even if nobody else sees it yet. The 99% want quick results. They want instant payoff. If they don't see progress in a week, they're gone. But the 1% play the long game. They understand that big results come from small, consistent actions stacked over time. You can't microwave success. You have to slow cook it. And in that slow cooking process, you're going to get tested. Not once, not twice, over and over again. Life will throw setbacks, distractions, and doubt at you. It will whisper in your ear, "You're not good enough. This isn't worth it. Just quit." That's the 99% voice. The 1% voice says, "I hear you, but I'm going anyway." Most people think the hard part is starting. It's not. The hard part is continuing when it's no longer exciting. The 1% rule is about finding a way to keep moving when the initial rush fades. When you're sore, tired, uninspired, you keep going. That's how you separate yourself. Doing what 99% won't means sacrificing now for later. It means you might miss some parties. You might have to work through weekends. You might have to say no to things that would be fun today so you can build something great tomorrow. And here's the truth. That sacrifice doesn't feel good in the moment, but it feels incredible when the payoff comes. It's like planting seeds. You don't get fruit the same day you plant. You water, you nurture, you protect the soil, and you wait. The 99% dig up the seed to check if it's growing. The 1% trust the process. They keep showing up, knowing the harvest is coming. And when that harvest comes, when you've been consistent, disciplined, and patient, that's when life changes. That's when you live the life others only dream about. Not because you're lucky, but because you did the work they wouldn't. If you've ever wondered about the real story behind this channel, how I went from struggling and lost to motivating thousands of people every single day, now's your chance to hear it. I've shared my full journey, all the ups and downs, in a special audio and PDF, just for you. If you want to get inspired and learn how I turned my life around, check out the link in the pinned comment. Your breakthrough might be just one story away.